Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This is, we think, is really a game changer and will change the conversation around COVID-19.
Yes. This may be the biggest game changer since the shot. What is it? Well, the news broke earlier. A lot of people are like, what's going on? What's this? But Merck has done something to the point where they stopped the clinical trials midway through because the results were so good that it was stupid not to. Have they truly come up with the game changer when it comes to COVID-19 and we can stop the insanity of all of this stuff? It is a pill. A pill. It is a treatment at home. Yes, this could be the one.
Merck and its partner Ridgeback Biotherapeutics said their experimental antiviral pill cut the risk of hospitalization and death from COVID-19 by 50% when taken within 5 days of a positive test. Merck chief Robert Davis called it a game changer since the pill could make the virus manageable for those with mild or moderate symptoms.
It enables your body to fight off the COVID-19 virus. It actually works on the RNA of the virus itself, causing it no longer to work.
Davis said Merck would ask the FDA for emergency use authorization as soon as possible.
Yes. So what does that mean? Basically, let's say you don't feel good today. You decide to go get a test. Maybe you even have an at-home test. I've got several of those, by the way. We ordered a bunch, and I thought, well, we've used them every once in a while. But you're not feeling good. You take it, and you're like, all right, I test positive. You tell your doctor what if they said you had the flu, azithromycin. They're gonna send stuff down to your pharmacist. You go down and you get this. You take it for 5 days, and essentially, you're going to not so much be asymptomatic, but the chances of you dying or going to the hospital is going to be dramatically cut. That's big. That is a huge win. And that right there is something that I think because what have we seen here? We have seen mandates. We have seen insanity. My God, look at Australia. I keep telling people, look at Australia.
We've saved lives. We've saved livelihoods. But we must work together to ensure that Australians can reclaim the lives that they once had in this country.
They're talking about reclaiming their lives. Can't go outside. They're talking about if you're not vaccinated, we're going to treat you as almost essentially a pariah. We're seeing people fired from their jobs because, well, they refuse to get a vaccine that they're not quite sure about. Or maybe they've got natural immunity, have already had it. We're at that point where it's them versus us. This changes everything. For me, I've always said the one and done Johnson & Johnson's phenomenal. And I have a feeling eventually, I know the Moderna's working on the, what did I call it? The Flovid, which is the flu COVID shot, right? That'll be a helper, but it'll be a one-shot deal, and you may not have to go back for a year, whatever, and that's fine. And the other thing is an at-home, something where if you do get something, this thing will help. This could be a huge deal, and I think it will be. But the question still remains out there, as it should be, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, but I will still beat it into people's heads who don't quite get it. The hardest thing for us to do as human beings is relinquish something, give back something, i.e. government has in some cases been handed stuff, but in other cases has taken it. And then they've taken it from one to another, to another, to another. Oh, you've given me this? Well, how about this? How about this? How about this? How about this? How about that? Oh, I'll take a little bit more. The question I've not gotten from anybody, and I've reached out to dozens of businesses, CEOs, leaders across this country in the healthcare world and asked the question, hey, how long do these mandates last? This thing's living with us forever. Are you going to mean to tell me? Because as we all know, we as a nation like to do what? Something happens. Oh, my God, we got to take care of it. We rush out. We get the first shots. You saw a lot of that. There's pushback. And then what happens? Well, the next time that, I thought my neighbor got the shot. I didn't really need to get the shot this time. It really wasn't, the COVID season wasn't as bad last year. You start going through it where you start to see the diminishing side of things where maybe only 50 or 60% get the shot. But we're changing everything based on something that's endemic, not pandemic, meaning it's not going anywhere, and expecting everybody to continue to live their lives in fear and continue to run out every 6 months, 3 months if you potentially have an issue with comorbidities. Could you imagine if today they said, hey, everybody's got to get the flu shot. If you refuse to get the flu shot, we're firing you. What? How many of you, I was talking to producer Anthony, he said, I got a flu shot yesterday, Chad. This is easy. He goes, I've been taking the flu shot since I was 50. I don't think I've ever had a flu shot. Not because I don't think they work, I just don't think I've ever had a flu shot. Nothing I ever thought of. I couldn't imagine if my employer, why would they not? Remember, too, think about this, how the game has changed, the goalpost always moving in the world of politics, and with politics and big business together, they can move that goalpost everywhere. Remember what I said about, originally it was, if we could get to like 70%, I think that'll be ideal based on this, that, and the other. And that was, that was Fauci talking about stuff. Then the other day, it was, maybe 80%. Listen to Biden.
What is the percentage of total vaccinations that have to be deployed?
Well, I think we get the vast majority, like is going on in some industries and some schools, 97, 98%. I think we're awful close. But I'm not the scientist. But one thing for certain, a quarter of the country can't go unvaccinated.
Quarter of a country can. By the way, if you look at the numbers for kids who are vaccinated in school, remember, it's like we're at 100%. You start looking, you're like, no, we're really about 89%. A lot of people are choosing not to get their kids vaccinated, waiting a little bit longer, not getting them fully vaccinated for certain things, thinking at a certain age some of this stuff may be too much. So you're now saying 97%, 98%? The goalpost moves, but you've given in some cases. It's understandable at the beginning of this. But now we've got something where this thing should help mitigate a lot of what this stuff is about. They'll ask for emergency authorization. And here's the other thing. I think two things. Natural immunity is huge. We don't talk about that. How dare you bring it up? The second thing, and this is an important thing, so you don't get the shot, but now we've got something that you can treat it at home with. Once that kind of gets done, can't we just say at this point in time, all right, if you're going to continue on with this BS, at that point in time, we get the game. The game is control, and that's all you're looking for anymore. Could this be a game changer? Absolutely. Will they figure out a way potentially to spin it? 100%. Pfizer's working on something, too, that is supposed to be something similar, so we'll see. But Merck could have changed the game, but it doesn't mean the game's going to change. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. So the battle on the Hill that is going on over the magical world of infrastructure is continuing to go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. But there are two people that are, for all intents and purposes, leading the fight in many cases against the Democrats. And it's very interesting. We're going to touch on that. And it's the infrastructure. Kyrsten Sinema is one, and Joe Manchin, obviously, the other one. And right now, I think Joe Manchin may be the most powerful man, at least in D.C. Biden may be the most powerful man in the world, but Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, those two together are like the Wonder Twins, but without those crappy powers they had. Because those powers were pretty stupid. I think we can all agree with that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. A lot of stuff to get to. It's October 1st. Can you believe that? October 1st. Rocktober is here. That is insane. That truly is insane. Because you think I'm. It seemed like, just like last year, it seems like we've had like quarter periods of, the beginning of this year with the COVID and the freaking out and the people and oh my God and everybody's dying, to the lull and we feel like we get our lives back, and then all of a sudden we're on to something new, and then it all feels weird. And then you look up today and you're like, this is October. Like how did you get here? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson. Show us your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. A lot of stuff to get to. My NFL picks, I'll have them fully today. I'm 1-0. Great game last night. We'll talk about that. The NFL halftime show has been announced for the SoFi, which is the stadium that the Rams and the Chargers play at, it's a city. It's not a stadium. It's like if you were to go and look into one of those what the world will look like in 50 years movies, Demolition Man, if you go back to something like that, that's kind of what SoFi looks like. But they have made an announcement, and they've named the halftime show. And it's interesting. It's very interesting. I love it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows, your Twitter. Raycon, best earbuds around. You might want to have your Raycons to listen to some of these amazing artists. By the way, one of these artists in the halftime show, good friends with Ray J, loves the Raycons. His name's Snoop Dogg. Just going to throw that out there. Incredible earbuds. No stems, no wires. 45-day happiness guarantee. Stylish, cool, hip. Start under $70. Incredible amount of time these things last without charging them back up. And by the way, charging them is simple and easy. You get a case. The case is amazing. You plug it in. It charges up. Then you take it wherever you go and continue to put your earbuds in there. You don't have to be tethered to a wall or anything. Boom, you're going to get up to 4 full charges with those. Get your Raycons. They start under $70. 45-day happiness guarantee. Best fit, best sound, great Christmas presents. BuyRaycon.com/Chad saves you 15%. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say
This is a sandwich known to all by reputation.
For the last 40 years, McDonald's has on and off offered the McRib, which has become a cult favorite for a limited time, which always helps Mickey D's sales. The sandwich consists of a boneless pork patty, which is shaped like a rack of ribs, loaded with barbecue sauce, wrapped lovingly in a bun. McDonald's points to the McRib's social media interest for solidifying its icon status. The McRib is back on November 1st.
The most important sandwich of the year.
yes. It is the most important sandwich of the year. I'm excited. You know why? Because it's kind of a fall thing. Here's something else. I've only ever had a bite of the McRib. What? Yeah. But to watch the excitement, yesterday people were talking about it. And it was funny because people were talking about it here because they were excited. And it was somebody who was older than me and somebody who was much younger than me. Both of them were having this great excitement about the McRib. Like, this is going to be awesome. It's the McRib. Oh, my God. What do you – no, I know it doesn't – there's nothing that looks like it in the wild. And they started going, oh, it was just – and I'm like, see, when people think we can't, as human beings, get together – see, when people think that we're angry, it's not true. You find things to come together, and the McRib may be that thing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. We're actually going to talk about angry things in a bit. Yesterday, Joe Manchin came out and he hit the Dems. Now, he is a Dem. And I tell people this. You think about this for a second. Joe Manchin is in West Virginia, right? West Virginia. It's as pretty red as you're going to get. It is. But there he is. And Joe has survived over and over again. He has been there a very, very long time. He has been a staple of the politics in West Virginia as the Blue Party only surviving member in there. In fact, I was telling somebody yesterday, Donald Trump winning California would be less shocking than somebody like Biden winning West Virginia kind of feel. The reality is, though, he has survived. And yesterday he said something very much Republican sounding when it came to this infrastructure bill, the human infrastructure bill, which, remember, they wanted $6 trillion. Then they bumped it down to $3.5 trillion. He said $1.5 trillion. And then he said this.
So I said means testing, and that way you target children. So you have the beginning of life, our children. Pre-K, yes. Then you have the end where our senior citizens want to live in the dignity and respect of their own home. We can do that with some assistance. And again, some can pay a little bit, and some can't pay any. That's means testing. It goes an awful long way that way. I'm just not. I cannot accept our economy or basically our society moving towards an entitlement mentality that you're entitled. I'm more of a rewarding because I can help those who really need help if those who can help themselves do so.
Translation. Break it down for you. Hand up, not a handout. Safety net is great. It will never be a hammock. He sounds more like a Republican than a Democrat, but he plays a fine line. Very few politicians have ever been, I think, as strategic as him when it comes to balancing being a blue guy, if you will, in a red guy state. We'll talk more about this because, of course, who's angry? The progressives. And he's got more to say about it. Plus, the big news, has Merck had to really come up with a game changer in the COVID-19 world? Talk about that as well. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
So I said means testing, and that way you target children. So you have the beginning of life, our children. Pre-K, yes. Then you have the end where our senior citizens want to live in the dignity and respect of their own home. We can do that with some assistance. And again, some can pay a little bit, and some can't pay any. That's means testing. It goes an awful long way that way. I'm just not. I cannot accept our economy or basically our society moving towards an entitlement mentality that you're entitled. I'm more of a rewarding because I can help those who really need help if those who can help themselves do so.
Now, you would probably say, my goodness, that's a staunch Republican. It is not. It is a Democrat who is from West Virginia. Just to give you an idea about West Virginia, outside of Wyoming, no other state is anywhere close to being red. Trump won it this time by almost 40. I think it was 38.6. He beat Hillary by almost 42 points. That's West Virginia. But here's Manchin. What is Manchin? Manchin's a union guy, right? Joe Manchin's a union cat. He is a guy that in a state where they depend a lot on coal and those fossil fuels, things of that nature, he fights for them. He's one of their own. And yet here he is, holding up this infrastructure, him and Kyrsten Sinema, which, by the way, the battle right now is at times between those two because she's about climate change in a lot of ways. And Joe Manchin, obviously, in a place where coal and miners and So from $6 trillion in the infrastructure bill, Nancy Pelosi told the Democrats yesterday, kiss that $3.5 trillion goodbye. Bye-bye. And the uber progressives are pissed.
Senator Manchin started off with an openness to $3.5 trillion. This is reporting as far back as June. And also on the record saying a two-track strategy is the main strategy that we have. So this was what Senator Manchin was saying 2 months ago. Which senator are we negotiating with? Is this June Manchin? Is it September Manchin? Is it August Manchin? Will December Manchin be a different, will this be a different senator that pops up?
Not happy because she understands that there's nothing that she's going to be able to do, or the squad, because he is the key to this. And this matters because the other $1.2 trillion that I believe matters a lot too, which is what we would consider the real infrastructure bill with, helping out, things like rail, reinforcing our power grid and bringing it up to date. Yes, reinforcing many of our water sites. Oh, yeah. Dams, bridges, airports, roadways. You see where I'm going there? This side, though, is the site where, Manchin's like, look, you guys are building an entitlement state. Essentially, people are going to be living off the government. That's what you're hoping for. I'm sorry, that's not what we're all about.
We need to be serious. And right now, what we are seeing from the conservative side, the small cadre of people, is a fundamentally unserious pattern of negotiation. Their lack of consistency and their lack of homework is creating instability to this process.
Yeah. No, what it's creating is stability and sanity. What is inside of there is insane. What you want to do and give is insane. How you want to spend money recklessly is insane. And then telling everybody, oh, it's only going to be this group of people that's going to pay for it, and we're going to do it by doing this, thinking it's not going to hurt the economy, and thinking that they're going to pay it, even though you continue to say, well, they should pay their fair share, but they're not going to. Trump could have raised taxes to 100% on anybody making X amount of dollars. $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, whatever it is. They weren't going to pay it. Not because they're doing anything illegal, although I'm sure there are some shady people out there, but because there are enough laws in place and they've got enough money that they'll find workarounds. All the money will go into their companies and it'll sit there. And then what they'll do is they'll take out 0 interest rate loans that they don't have to pay back anytime soon, and that they don't have to claim for their income. Little workarounds. That's one of a billion. And then what happens? Well, you run out of their money because they're like, And then you go, well, we got to get somewhere else. And you start changing the game. And yesterday they're like, oh, it's not going to cost anything. Joe Manchin responds,
I wasn't trying to be the fly in the ointment at all. I've never been a liberal in any way, shape, or the form. There's no one who's ever thought I was. And all they need to do is we have to elect more, I guess, for them to get theirs, elect more liberals. But I'm not asking them to change. I'm willing to come from 0 to 1.5.
I love that. I love that. We live in a time of all or nothing. We live in a time of everything or nothing. You hear me say this all the time. Would you rather be right or would you rather be rich? And everybody thinks, well, that's what that means. You're going to be wrong all the time. No, what it means is in a situation like this where you have a chance to get something, it's not everything you dreamed of or wanted. You'd rather have 0 because your goal is to sit on some sort of principle and eat. It's not going to affect you if you get nothing, but it will affect people that you purportedly are wanting to help, and it'll hurt your party. When I say, would you rather be right or would you rather be rich? There are people out there, it's like, I'll take 100% of nothing. And I'll take 5% of $1 billion. Which one do you think comes out better on the other side? Because we live now in a world it's all or nothing. And that is stupid. And they are, if the Republicans are smart, they keep their mouth shut. Say, look, we negotiated in good faith with Kirsten Sinema. We got this thing over here that we want to do because we think it's going to be good for what we need done. We dearly need an infrastructure bill, and we need to find out a way to pay for it. And we don't need to see this money go to waste. Remember that stimulus $1 trillion? The other thing he talked about with the $1.5 trillion is like, oh, on top of that, we're not going to touch any of that money until we exhaust all the COVID money, which hasn't been exhausted. Let them fight themselves.
It'll come down to, are the progressives really willing to stab their own president at a time when he can't take a stabbing because they don't trust the word of their leadership that they're going to land this thing at a reasonable number? You know, the media loves to obsess about the split in the Republican Party. The Republicans are all obstructionists. Mitch McConnell sleeps hanging upside down in a closet. That narrative is endless. Nobody ever talks about the incredible fissure in the Democratic Party, where the president's big piece of bipartisan legislation that Biden ought to get a lot of credit for can't pass his own damn party because they're so divided and they don't trust each other. That is like not a small thing.
Mike Murphy right there. He's Republican consultant, and he's spot on, and we've been talking about it. You've got, just like, you know, over the last really several years, you know, you've always heard about rhinos, Republican in name only, right? Then you have conservatives. The Republicans, each party has groups. They've always had caucuses. But this is now a different situation where they've become cliques. And it's become a can I get you over on my side or else party? Choose a path. Well, that's going to hurt them big time. And with Biden dealing with a nightmare at the border, which from what we're hearing, it's going to get really bad soon because there may be another large group of people coming here. But, you know, they'll ignore it. Afghanistan has been a debacle, and we all know that. And this past week has not helped at all. You've got inflation. You've got an economy that's kind of not quite sure which way to go. And, of course, COVID's not gone anywhere. And now this. Yeah. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Is this the game changer that some people say it is? I've said the big game changer is getting the shot down to one shot when it comes to, you know, kind of like the flu shot. So I always said Johnson & Johnson, if they could have mass produced it in such a way, it would have been huge. Moderna's obviously the best of the three that's available here in America for COVID. And it is a shot. It is not a vaccine as we would think of vaccine where it's 100% effective or 99.9% effective and you take it once. You're going to have to take it probably, if you're healthy, probably once a year. If you're unhealthy, you might have to take it twice a year until they can get it down to maybe, you know, a shot that lasts 3 or 4 years or whatever. And they'll probably start combining it with the flu. But the thing that hasn't happened is coming up with a treatment. Has it arrived? Merck thinks it has arrived.
The drug consists of a series of pills taken within 5 days of testing positive for COVID. Merck is expected to apply for FDA emergency use authorization as soon as possible.
Yeah, so let's just say you don't feel good today. You go, and this is really going to be for people who haven't had the shot. That's kind of what this is. So you don't feel good today. You go, you get a test, and you're like, oh, I've tested positive. You call your doctor. They send over this prescription. You pick it up. You take it. And boom, away you go. And it has reduced hospitalizations and deaths tremendously. So much so that during the trial, while it was being peer-to-peer reviewed, the peer says it's so effective, you guys need to stop the trial because this thing is so effective.
You take it over a 5-day course 2 times a day. And what it basically allows you to do, it enables your body to fight off the COVID-19 virus.
And that's massive. So when you're looking at mandates, how does that change mandates? I think that's a fair question. So if you've got a therapeutic and you've got a few shots out there, why should we have any more mandates? So if you've got shots and you've got a therapeutic, meaning an at-home treatment that will reduce hospitalization and death by 50%, and that's for the unvaccinated, then why should there be mandates? At this point in time, we're getting it near the numbers of the flu. And we don't mandate the flu shot, at least not yet. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. It'll be interesting to see. They're going to try their hardest to get this thing there, but it makes it manageable and get this thing there in a quick period of time. They're going to ask for emergency authorization, and we'll see. And then when the monoclonal antibodies, remdesivir, and a few of the other things that are available out there, I think that you're going to see this thing become extremely manageable for people who don't want to get the shot and who might be more inclined to take a pill. That's the reality of it. They may say, I don't want the shot. I feel weird. I don't think so. It seems, but they may be more inclined to take a pill than a shot. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl halftime show. Just a moment. Snoop Dogg will be part of it. Dr. Dre. For me, I'm such a weirdo about sound. So I love sound and I love my earbuds. So I've got the best earbuds around. All right. They're called Raycons. I love them. I swear by them. And I've had a ton of different kinds of earbuds. I'm just going to tell you guys that you name it. They've been sent to me. Some of them have been, I have bought and tried. And I had these before, Raycons, before they came on as a sponsor. You will love these. Right now you get 50% off the best earbuds around. 45-day happiness guarantee. Incredible fit. And that's what makes them so much different. You have 32 hours of standby battery, 8 hours of continuous use, wireless charging case, incredible voice technology, splash and water resistant, 3 sound profiles, so it makes it perfect for you. You're going to hear everything, and just it is incredible. Get your Raycons now. Did I mention they start under $70? There's no stems. There's no wires. Ray J has put together the best around. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. Get yours now. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. The everyday earbuds and the fitness earbuds are amazing too. They're like $100. Get these things. You are going to flip when you hear them. Great Christmas gifts. 15% off. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
Any one of them big enough to do the Super Bowl halftime show on their own, but Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar are teaming up for February's show, which will take place at the brand new SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California, not far from where Kendrick, Snoop, and Dr. Dre grew up. It's a rare move for the biggest stage in the world, which has shied away from putting rap acts front and center. Dre says in a statement that to do the Super Bowl halftime show and to do it in his own backyard will be one of the biggest thrills of his career.
Yep. Gonna be huge. Yesterday we were talking about like the whole thing with Britney Spears, and that person who commented and said, you're a creepy old man. And then I'm like, why? Because the way you look at Britney, I'm like, you do realize she's 40. So we were looking up, Dr. Dre's like, 53? Snoop will be 50 in a couple weeks. I think Eminem's 49. Mary J. Blige is 50. And Kendrick Lamar's the youngest one. He's almost 40. And I'm like, but we were just like, man, it's like time does fly. It's crazy. I think it's going to be a hell of a halftime show. 5 years ago, they turned him down. 6 years ago, I think it was. They turned him down. Snoop. They didn't think so. And this is going to be very, very interesting. I'm excited for this halftime show. I'm excited for football. Speaking of football, Thursday night game last night.
The snap, the put down, the swing of the right leg. The kick is on its way.
Yeah!
Coffin nails!
Coffin nails.
Bam! Bam! How about that? Thursday night football. National audience. Cincinnati Bengals. 3-1, Dan.
3-1 they are. That's who I picked. I'm going to give you my picks right now. I like doing that because I enjoy the football. So, Bengals last night, I already picked them. Titans, going to get a win. Bears, Dolphins, Vikings, Washington Football Club, Bill, for you. Bills, Saints, Chiefs, boys. Niners, Rams, Packers, Broncos, and the Chargers. Now, I know what you're saying, but wait, Chad, there's another game. Yes, the Sunday night game is going to be very interesting because, well, Brady comes home.
All those things are super personal. We had a great relationship. I think everything was handled the right way. We handled everything as gracefully as we could. It was an amazing, like I said, time, and it was handled perfectly. I think everyone understood, where we're at, the people involved in the situation, and things worked out for the best for all of us.
Yep. He goes home to New England. Bucks will win that game, so take that. It's going to be fun to watch, though, and no, he's not sick. He's just got a hoarse throat. A lot of people thought Belichick got to him. Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Merck and its partner Ridgeback Biotherapeutics said their experimental antiviral pill cut the risk of hospitalization and death from COVID-19 by 50% when taken within 5 days of a positive test. Merck chief Robert Davis called it a game changer since the pill could make the virus manageable for those with mild or moderate symptoms.
It enables your body to fight off the COVID-19 virus. It actually works on the RNA of the virus itself, causing it no longer to work.
Davis said Merck would ask the FDA for emergency use authorization as soon as possible.
Yep. Is this the game changer in the fight against COVID and really the fight against mandates, the fight against the insanity, the fight against each other? Could we be having something that will not available to us, something available to us that will not only fight this thing that, let's be real, it came out of nowhere. You need to take it serious. It's not a hoax. But will not only prevent us from fighting the virus, but each other. Fighting the virus in the way that we've been fighting it, which is simply we look at each other now as the virus. You're either vaccinated or unvaccinated. You're a bad person because you didn't get vaccinated, or you're a stupid person because you did get vaccinated. This is not a shot. It's a pill. Take it for 5 days. Azithromycin, right? When you get the flu, they give you something. When they get there's all kinds of things you can take. There's all kinds of treatments, and that we've gotten the shot now. Everybody was hoping for a singular vaccine shot, but it's now more or less the flu. Meaning it's endemic, it's not pandemic, it's not going anywhere. Will it become seasonal like the flu? There's a very good chance it will become seasonal. It's probably always going to be here, at least for the foreseeable future. So the thought process that somehow we were going to mandate our way out of this, and instead what we've done is we've fought each other, and it's a pain in the ass of what we have done. We've fought each other. Rather than fight the virus, rather than figure out how we do this in a way where we can get our lives back to normal as we learn to understand this thing. And at first, you have to understand, you take it serious because you don't know what it can do. But then what happens is government gets involved and they've got a monster they could fight. And instead of going, all right, we're going to do this together, but we're not going to ruin people's lives, and we're sure they're not going to pit each other against it, it becomes great political theater, and it's a nightmare. And now you've got an us versus them. And that's not good. You've got mandates. People are going to get fired. People are getting fired. People are told they have to stay at home now. We're going to treat people. I mean, it's all of this stuff. And it's so ridiculous. It is so ridiculous. Now you've got something that potentially could shape a lot of different things. And the reason is pretty simple. Because if you don't have a vaccine, you choose not to get it for whatever reason, but you do get this and you decide, you know what? I'm going to take this opportunity to call my doctor, go get tested. Yes, you've got it. Okay, here's the deal. We're going to send this drug over to the pharmacy. You pick it up. Take it for 5 days. This is going to reduce your chances of getting really sick. It's going to help your recovery really fast, and the chances of you going to the hospital is going to be cut significantly. And if you have the vaccine or whatever, again, we want to call it the shot, you're already in a position where the chances of you going to the hospital are slim to none. So this is a huge deal, especially for people who don't want to get vaccinated. They're more apt to take the pill. They are. This is a pill.
This drug, this antiviral molnupiravir, basically is able to, if taken within 5 days of the onset of symptoms, significantly reduce the risk that a patient is either going to have to ultimately go into the hospital and, most importantly, reduces significantly the risk of death.
There you go. And who are the people that people worry about? Well, the people that are unvaccinated. Okay. And the people that really have issues with this. Because how many people have really got this thing over the time? I don't think any of us really know. So there's a certain group of natural immunity that's built up. But it is still a certain group of people, the unhealthy. And we're not talking about somebody who's 30 pounds overweight. We're talking about truly unhealthy people have been hit the hardest. People who've had, transplants, people who have COPD, who've got all kinds of diseases, and they're fighting. Those people who have compromised immune system, this is a helper for them as well. So it's, to me, a huge deal. And I've always said, once we get the vaccine, unless it was going to be a forever vaccine, but once we get a therapeutic, there is no more reason to mask up all the time. There is no more reason for us to go, well, we need mandates. New York.
In New York City, teachers and staff up against a deadline tonight to get their first shots or risk losing their jobs. Northwell Health, the state's largest hospital system, saying nearly 100% of its employees are now fully vaccinated. But late Thursday, a federal appeals court blocked the firing of New York healthcare workers who claimed a religious exemption, pending the outcome of a court hearing next month.
Yeah, and you're going to find a lot more of those. And we've never gotten an answer of how long did the mandates last? Are we going to start mandating the flu shot now? Because only about 55% of people get the flu shot. So are we going to mandate the flu shot? Well, I don't know. Are we going to, these are questions that I think we're going to have more and more questions for people, and we're going to have less and less answers. The hardest thing that was going to come out of this, outside of fighting the virus itself, was the getting the power back and the freedoms that so many people willingly gave way. And in some cases, they took. Australia is going through it right now. Australia is in a situation where, quite frankly, it's insane what they're doing. It is truly insane. They're talking about, once these things are lifted, that the people who are unvaccinated are going to be treated in a much different way. Oh, my God. Say that. Think about that. Say that for another group of people. Say that for another group of people. Say that for people of color. Say that for the LGBT community. Say that for people with special needs. Say that we're going to treat them in a totally different way.
We've saved lives, we've saved livelihoods, but we must work together to ensure that Australians can reclaim the lives that they once had in this country.
Reclaim the lives. My goodness me. Power. Well, they say little power corrupts. Yeah, it does. Now you look at something like this and you're like, my God. What have they done? Yeah. Could that happen here? Not the same way, but there were people that I think would have liked to have had that happen here. The power that they grabbed 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. You know things are getting more difficult when things at the dollar store no longer cost $1.
We've heard throughout the pandemic about rising costs of consumer goods associated with inflation and supply chain issues and rising labor and freight costs, and how all those costs would be passed along to the consumer. The Dollar Tree CEO telling the Wall Street Journal that this price hike is in part a response to those rising costs.
You think? So there's a rising cost of stuff. And wait, hold on. Let's go back to this. This is a rising cost of stuff because of supply chain, more expensive to get stuff from point A to point B. Fuel prices are through the roof. Oh, my goodness me. Oh, wow. Now you're talking about raising taxes? Now the dollar store it's more expensive at the dollar store? It's just a small part. As we head into the holiday season, there's going to be less stuff on the shelves, which will push prices up. And so things are going to be more expensive, not just because there's less of, but because the things that are coming are going to cost more to get to the shelf.
The store putting out a statement saying, quote, "For decades, our consumers have enjoyed the thrill of the hunt for value at $1, and we remain committed to that core proposition." And these price hikes, not just at dollar stores, but on the economy overall on consumer goods, expected to last for a while. Experts think that inflation will last through the latter half of 2022.
But wait, it was supposed to end. These are all things that land at the feet of this president. And I can't blame him for all of these, but there are moves out there that I think he could make. And the thought process of raising taxes right now in the midst of a who knows what this thing will become, because while we're spending a little bit more, the consumer price index, we spend a little bit more. None of that was we weren't buying any more goods. It was just we're spending more money for the same amount of things. And in uncertainty with the coronavirus, with where we're going, I'm telling you guys right now, there are things he needs to do to try to flip this thing around. And if you don't want your president to succeed, even if you don't like his politics or her politics, that's insane. But he's got a lot to look at, from infrastructure to human infrastructure to immigration. We're going to talk about that in a little while. People are saying, and they're being warned, hey, we could see another massive surge. I know it doesn't happen because if you don't open your eyes, right, it doesn't exist. Afghanistan, which this week on the Hill, they did not do him any favors. And, of course, coronavirus. A lot of stuff out there. It has not been a good first year for this president, and he has been quiet on many things. And our standing in the world, what everybody thought was going to come back immediately, well, that hasn't happened the way that people have thought. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Rough Greens makes every pet food better. I get home, feed it to my dogs every night. it's Canine Vitasmart. It's just this. It's like, imagine adding a little cinnamon or paprika or some salt and pepper. That's all it is. It's just right there. Sprinkle on top. It's a little supplement. And watch what happens. The dogs eat it up. They love it. It helps with everything from their fur to their joints to their digestive tract to their gums. I mean, it is incredible. And I swear by it because my dog Doodle is living testament that it works. He was awful. I always joke about how he was awful. You couldn't touch him. You couldn't get near him at times. It was ugh. Now he's happy and bouncy, and he's got tons of energy. And it's all because of what's in this. Vitamins, minerals, vegetables, probiotics, is non-GMO. It is incredible. Omega-3, 6, 9, all this great stuff. You watch what happens. Try it before you buy it. This is what you do. You go to ruffgreens.com/Chad. You cover the cost of shipping. They're going to give you a bag for free. What do you have to lose? ruffgreens.com/Chad. Try it before you buy it. Or call 833-MyDog77. 833-MyDog77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
wear a mask? Are you trying to kill me? What happens if you have corona?
No need to socially distance while listening to your Chad Benson Show podcast. 4 out of 5 experts say so.
I'm a scientist. There is no corona.
But hurry before they change their mind. You know they will. Chad's podcast found on iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, and wherever you find your favorite COVID-free podcasts.
Oh my gosh. I kind of like it, I'm not gonna lie.
This is the Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let us take a peek and see what's trending on the old interwebs. Start first and foremost over the magical world of Twitter, where everybody fights over everything. Brett Kavanaugh announces he has tested positive for COVID-19. He's no Simpsons, and he's been fully vaccinated since January. Manhattan Beach. Property seized there from a black family in 1924 is being returned to the families, the heirs of the couple. It is prime real estate. The couple bought it for, I think it was like maybe 15, 20 grand, or they had set up they want to set up a hotel for predominantly black families. Eminent domain. The city and state seized it, wanted to put it in a park. Well, now the Bruce's family have got the property back. By the way, the property value, this is the value of what they're saying, $75 million. I will tell you right this second, if they were to sell that today, there's no doubt in my mind they would get $150 plus million for that in this day and age where they are. It is feet from the beach, and it is massive. Absolutely massive. Manhattan Beach is lovely. Alex Jones. Oh, my God. Did you guys hear? I can't even believe not the frog people this time. A Texas judge apparently has ruled default judgments against Alex Jones and InfoWars, 2 separate Sandy Hook cases. He's now going to be liable for damages. The jury apparently will convene to find out how much he will owe the plaintiffs. We'll see how that looks, what happens there. You head on over to, by the way, the San Francisco Chronicle did an amazing look at if California was made up of 35 counties, Newsom would have been recalled, which he wasn't. But it shows you that, again, it's big cities control so much of everything. You head over to the magical world of Google. Bengals, most searched yesterday. Mary Saints of New York, which is the prequel to The Sopranos, opens today. Mitch Jagger went unnoticed in a bar in North Carolina the night before his concert. It's this little bar. And here's the interesting thing. The people sitting next to him had front row tickets and didn't notice him. Now, did they not notice? We were talking about this yesterday. Or was it one of those things where you look over and you say, I don't want to be a pain in the ass? I don't want to be, I don't know if I want to, And people are still talking about Shakira. Her hips don't lie, but those boars attacked her. And apparently, there's a lot of boar attacks in Barcelona. They have a problem. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
So last month, and I say that because today's Rocktober, October, whatever you guys want to call it, little Rocktober. Last month, wow, what a month for immigration. Now, if you're getting paid per person that comes in the country, you're feeling pretty good. if you're the country, America, that is receiving people, you're asking yourself the question, WTF? I don't think you could use that was cursing. It wasn't. I didn't say the word. But I will say this. I was going to tell the guys off the air. I won't use his name. He's a congressman here, and he's a very nice guy. We've become friends. He's not my congressman. And he's a congressman that's one of those congressmen and women, and there are hundreds of them that you never hear of because they're on committees that matter, but they're not celebrities. It's not their gig. And I was talking to him and another congressperson who we've had some interactions, and one's Democrat, one's Republican. One's a man, one's a woman. They've both said the same thing to me and things that they said that have been echoed to them. The reason we don't have a fix is we don't think we could stop the problem at this point without doing something so drastic. Without doing something so absolutely drastic. We think it's gotten to the point now where it's out of hand, and we may not be able to stop it. Oh, surely we could. How? How? There are thousands of miles of terrain that we are not going to be able to get to and can't get to because we don't have the manpower to do it. We've had administration after administration not deal with it. One tried to, and of course, he was a Nazi, apparently, and he was evil and bad. And while his stuff at times was misguided, the reality is wanting to deal with it somewhat stemmed the tide, it felt like. But now that tide is opening up, and it's no longer just a tide, it's become a tsunami. Case in point, listen to what may be coming.
Tonight, U.S. officials telling NBC News the Biden administration is preparing for an even more massive surge in October. Up to 400,000 migrants crossing the border.
What? Excuse me? I thought I got to clear my ears out. What'd you say?
Up to 400,000 migrants crossing the border.
That's, wow. 400,000. That's a record, people. Right? Like, that's a record. Records are made to be broken, but not in this way. Did anybody hear him talk about immigration? Honestly, he came out and said the guys who whipped those people, we're going to make them pay the price and blah, blah, blah. We heard that, right? We heard that. That was his take on it for all intents and purposes. And yes, you do an investigation and you hold their feet to the fire. If they've done something wrong, then you take the necessary action to dismiss them and all those kind of things. But you get all of the story because, as we all know, we like to jump into something and then we find out later on, yeah, that guy had been attacked and people had thrown stuff at him and they were coming at him and his horse was spinning around. Maybe that was it. I don't know. But I will tell you this. I didn't hear you talk about the surge. Well, Yeah. Well, you know, it's because that's because my party doesn't care about that. In fact, they welcome it. We pretend like we're not open borders, but we're pretty much the most open borders you're going to find.
Which would be a record, nearly doubling the stunning numbers we've seen the last 2 months, which were a 21-year high. The new surge likely, officials say, because of a court order due to start tomorrow lifting a COVID restriction known as Title 42, which had allowed officials to quickly deport most asylum seekers during the pandemic.
And here's the funny thing, right? So think about this. Trump's thought process for asylum. So here's Trump's thought process. You want to come here? You've got to follow the rules if you're coming from the south side of it as everybody else. Meaning, if you're leaving, let's say you escape Turkmenistan, right? And you're a political prisoner and you're able to get to Canada. You can apply for asylum to come to the United States, but you're going to do it on that side. Here, we were doing the catch and release. But then Trump put in stay in Mexico, and everybody's like, he's an evil, horrible man. He's evil and bad. Then Title 42 came up because we're in the middle of a pandemic, and we're not testing. And we didn't want to release people into places where we could potentially see the spread of something. And because of that, people weren't so like, well, you know what, we're not going to be really angry about that because, you know, we're telling everybody to mask up and to do all these kind of things. And so they're using the Title 42 as a way of basically saying you need to stay over there because what Trump was doing was okay, but we don't want to look like that because we got to save face, right? So Title 42 says if you come here because of the pandemic, we can send you right back. I mean, that's what they say. But we know that they don't do that. Case in point.
Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas saying keeping Title 42 is critical.
That is an authority that the Centers for Disease Control has determined to still be necessary given where we are in the arc of the pandemic.
In Del Rio, border authorities were taken by surprise.
Now, by the way, I want to talk about something. So, Del Rio. First, it was 5,000. Then it was Fox is lying. It's not 10,000. Then it was 12,000. And now Fox is still a liar. It's none of those. And it kept going on and on and on. You know, you have the usual stuff, and you're all a bunch of liars. So I said, look, it may be 10,000. Maybe it's definitely more than 4, right? And people are saying it's probably anywhere between 13 and 15,000. Let's go over those numbers and see what they were.
In Del Rio, border authorities were taken by surprise by a surge of mostly Haitian migrants who came from South America. 5,000 were deported back to Haiti.
Okay, I'm going to put 5,000 right here. There's 5,000. All right, so that means they let 10,000 stay.
In Del Rio, border authorities were taken by surprise by a surge of mostly Haitian migrants who came from South America. 5,000 were deported back to Haiti,
5,000.
But the administration released most into the U.S., around 13,000.
Okay, let's see. So 5,000, 13,000. I'm going to use my calculator here to back it up. I have 18,000. Let me see what the calculator says. 18,000. That is more than 10, way more than 4. And yes, even more than 14.
Asking them to report to an immigration center to start asylum hearings. Tonight, immigration advocates say it's time to end Title 42.
It's blatantly illegal under both U.S. and international law and has caused enormous harm to hundreds of thousands of asylum seekers.
Late tonight, a federal court allowing the Biden administration to keep using Title 42, at least for now, while a legal fight continues.
So they're expecting upwards of 300 to plus. So let's just say it's 350. Okay? Now, when I've talked to the Border Patrol on numerous occasions, and not just Brandon Judge, people who are my friends, people who go to my church, people who, you know, my wife's best friend, her husband is an agent right here. And they all have kind of the same numbers. We catch about a quarter to a third that we catch. So a quarter to a third. Let's just say you catch half and you do have 350,000 people. That would mean 700,000 people came here. I don't know about you. That feels like a lot. And when I hear, oh, it's 11 million people, I'm like, who? I think people think that there's a trade-off. Like one comes in, right? Like it's like wrestling. And then they tag the other person and that person goes back across. It's not that way. It's not. And let's not forget, although the biggest surge in the last several years has come from people who come here and they overstay their visa, flying here and staying here. There's been a big surge there. But because of the pandemic, that has virtually stopped that completely. Anybody else have a problem with this? And I'm not talking about, what everybody's, oh, you're evil and you're mean and you're an isolationist and no, I think there's a reality here that we have to face. I think most Democrats, if they actually knew how many people were here, and if it was upwards of 30 or 40 million people that are here illegally would take a deep breath and go, no. But when you keep it at a number where you feel like, oh, it's 11 million. You're like, well, that's not a big deal. I mean, over time, it's 11 million. It's been 11 million for a very long time. I can tell you now, it's not 11 million. And based on what we're seeing, it might be 11 million by the end of the year, just for this year. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. It's not very nice, Chad. Being honest, people, that's all. Do we have a new drug that potentially will be the one? The drug that could be, as they say.
This is, we think, is really a game changer and will change the conversation around COVID-19.
Yeah, I think we might have that drug. It is from Merck. It is going to be hopefully available soon, and it is the drug that many people are looking at will be the therapeutic for you at home if you catch the coronavirus that will keep you out of the hospital and keep you from getting extremely sick. It's a 5-day treatment at home, and if you take it within the first few days, the numbers are pretty damn good of what it's able to do and how it's able to reduce severe illness, hospitalization, and death, which to me has been the last missing puzzle of us getting back our lives in a way that we should have it. Now, I still live my life pretty much the exact same way I've always lived my life because I'm kind of a loner and a weird dude, but this could be big. Now, that doesn't mean that governments are going to do anything because, as we all know, they've grabbed as much power as possible, and we're seeing it in New York and California. I mean, the minute Newsom got back in there and knew he was safe, it was mandate after mandate after mandate. But if you've got 2 shots, 2.5, because nobody really talks about Johnson & Johnson, but if you've got really 3 shots and a therapeutic, and you're still playing this game of grab ass, don't go anywhere, stay indoors, only 40% capacity, can't do this, can't do that, then you are telling me essentially, I enjoy this power and we're going to use it, and trying to unwind it from us is going to be extremely tough. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. My Pillow has the My Slippers. My Slippers. Now, what are My Slippers? Well, they're really cool. They are. So, you get slippers. Like, people get slippers for, Christmas and things like that. These are slippers you can wear indoor, outdoor. Durable. Great, amazing sole. So going indoor, outdoor is not a big deal. Moccasin style, slip-on style. Tons of colors. Now, it comes with faux fur on the inside and a leather suede on the outside. 6-day money-back guarantee, 1-year limited warranty. Now, why is it so good? The comfort fill, right? So you get the patented fill from MyPillow. You get a comfort memory foam and patented impact gel, which is great. Great for your knees, great for your feet. Made from soybeans grown here in the United States of America. Now, you want the My Slippers? You do. How about this? 50% off right now. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the Radio Listener Square, enter promo code Benson, or call 800-983-4975, 800-983-4975. Use that promo code. Check out all the other deep discounts on everything from the mattress toppers, MyPillow, Giza Dream Sheets, towels. But get the My Slippers, 50% off right now. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
Tweet at me, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. I tell you what, people are going, Chad, did I hear that right? Did you say upwards of potentially 400,000 people? Yeah. And remember, when they use that number, that is the encounters. 400,000 people that they have essentially brought in, processed. That is not the people that have gotten through without being processed, seen and not caught, or not seen at all and got through. So that is just the encounters, people brought in, things of that nature. So, yeah, it's a big number. And again, if you're getting paid like $1 per each one, then you're doing great. Oh, but no. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing every single one of you. Disney has finally decided to settle their feud with Black Widow.
It got public and ugly real fast.
I made my choice.
Scarlett Johansson sued Disney over the release of the Marvel film Black Widow, saying it was put streaming on Disney Plus and in theaters at the same time in order to grow the streaming service. And Johansson says she potentially lost millions in box office bonuses. Disney strongly disputed that, the two sides battling in the press. Now, peace. They've settled, though we don't know the terms. ScarJo and Disney both saying they look forward to working together on upcoming projects. Disney's the parent company of ABC News.
ScarJo? Is that what you said?
ScarJo.
Yeah, no. So they have settled their dispute, and they are now going to be friends again. And that is good. On the other side of stuff, who will and won't be friends in the Britney Spears world?
Fans may have cheered the decision by a judge Wednesday to suspend Jamie Spears as conservator of his daughter Britney's estate, but Jamie is singing a different tune. A statement from his lawyer Thursday morning says the court was wrong to suspend Jamie, calling the move disappointing and a loss for Britney. It goes on to say that Jamie helped revive Britney's career and reestablish a relationship with her children, and for the sake of Britney's mental health, he's kept quiet while being attacked with lies by the public, media, and Britney's attorney. A hearing to end the conservatorship completely is set for November.
Yeah. So back and forth, did he do something wrong? Did he not do something wrong? They're going to look at all of those things, but people were excited. Case in point, the middle of a workout, kind of like one of those, we're doing something, Peloton, super aerobic thing.
Jamie's gone? Sorry. Jamie's gone?
They pulled out how?
Of the conservatorship? Woo! Oh, this is a good day. We're going to sweat booties. Free Britney. My queen is one step closer to freedom. In the name of Britney James Spears. Jump, high, knee, Jamie in the face. Yes. Elbow him. Free Britney.
Oh, my God. What do you say at that point in time? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. I do love hearing from every one of you. Happy Friday. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Merck and its partner Ridgeback Biotherapeutics said their experimental antiviral pill cut the risk of hospitalization and death from COVID-19 by 50% when taken within 5 days of a positive test. Merck chief Robert Davis called it a game changer since the pill could make the virus manageable for those with mild or moderate symptoms.
It enables your body to fight off the COVID-19 virus. It actually works on the RNA of the virus itself, causing it no longer to work.
Davis said Merck would ask the FDA for emergency use authorization as soon as possible.
Yeah. Game changer? Game changer. Game changer. Game changer. Yes, game changer. The big thing is what? We don't have a way to treat it. So if people are unvaccinated again, there's just nothing they can do about it. Merck now has a pill, they believe, as they go to get authorization for it, that during the trial, while it was being peer-reviewed and other scientists outside of their world were going, you need to stop this. It's working. And it's not just kind of working, it's cutting it down tremendously. Let's get this thing out there. Let's do it.
this drug, this antiviral molnupiravir, basically is able to, if taken within 5 days of the onset of symptoms, significantly reduce the risk that a patient is either going to have to ultimately go into the hospital, and most importantly, reduces significantly the risk of death.
That is, anybody else find that to be awesome? Now, it doesn't mean anything's going to change. As we all know, especially if you're in certain blue states, man, they got this power. Getting this thing back from them, they're going to hold on to it for as long as they can. And remember, while they're holding on to it for as long as they can, the powers to be and the people that they like, they don't have to live by the rules that everybody else does. I mean, hell, Congress isn't mandated to get this. The United States postal workers not mandated to get the vaccine. But many others are. But now we have this. So shouldn't you think to yourself, hey, self, let's get back to our lives the way it should be. Let's get back out there so we can stop fighting over the dumbest things in the world that we fight over, which is this thing isn't even real. I got a lot of you out there, this thing's not real. It is real. Now, how long until they get it out? That's going to be the big question. But the reality is it's pretty damn good. It's a good thing that this could be, yes, the effective antiviral treatment that can help in ways that to me would be the biggest game. Because here's the issue. We didn't have anything to treat it, and that's why you had the ivermectins and the hydrochloroquines. People were looking for something to treat it because they thought that it would be a long time to get the vaccine. We got the shot in several different forms, from Johnson & Johnson to Moderna to Pfizer, and that has helped tremendously. You have natural immunity, which is never talked about, because how dare you talk about the natural immunity. And then we still had no treatment. Remdesivir showed some promise. Several other things have shown some promise. Now you have this. They're expecting to ask for authorization in the coming weeks. They expect to produce enough medicine to treat 10 million patients by the end of this year. And then by next year, it'll be, it's an all-go kind of thing. I'm good. So we can stop fighting over stuff? That'd be so awesome. That would be. Remember this?
I got up in the morning, got tested, and turns out I got COVID. So we immediately threw the kitchen sink at it. All kinds of meds, monoclonal antibodies, ivermectin, Z-Pak, prednisone, everything. And I also got an NAD drip and a vitamin drip, and I did that 3 days in a row. And so here we are on Wednesday, and I feel great.
Feel great. Feel great. Oh, and then everybody's like, well, he's bad because he's, Joe Rogan's the anti-science guy. No, he's not. No, he's not. And by the way, he goes, I told my family to get it. I took ivermectin. Yeah, but I got it from a doctor. He got things that you're not going to get, the monoclonal antibodies, the remdesivir. He got drips at his house. Most people aren't getting that. And then, of course, out comes Howard Stern because he wants to start something.
I didn't even want to spend a lot of time on COVID and vaccination and all the shitheads in our country who won't get vaccinations. They're like, you guys worship Dr. Fauci. Meanwhile, they go to the doctor and they'll take horse. Like I heard Joe Rogan was saying, he says, what do you busting my?
Got COVID, yeah.
He goes,
I'm
I took
horse dewormer, yeah.
And a doctor gave it to me. Well, the doctor would also give you a vaccine. So why take horse dewormer?
Well, because it's not just horse dewormer. Remember, I don't know how many of, ivermectin has been giving out in the last, God knows how many years it's been. Remember, they did win the Nobel Prize a few years ago for ivermectin, and it's given out in large doses across the globe and for parasites and things of that nature. But yes, people were going and buying it because it had it in certain horse dewormer and they were getting the paste and stuff. That's not what he got. That's not what he got. So he went after Rogan And then, he got all excited. Remember, he went after the mandates were big. And then yesterday, Dave Portnoy came after Stern for trying to go after Rogan. And by the way, Rogan's tweeting again today because Cenk Uygur, he wants, of the Young Turks, wants to basically said he'd fight Rogan. And it would be an easy fight.
That was an interesting. What'd you think of that, by the way? Stern versus Rogan.
It's interesting because he had some type of beef with Stern after a while, and because he used to go on all the time. But, they're just in different ballparks right now. Stern's wants to, everyone executed if you're not vax.
He seems like he's sort of become hypocritical. He seems like somebody who slung it and would do anything, and he's quick now to wag his finger at you when he was he almost seems like he'd be wagging his finger at a younger self, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, which is probably true. But it is funny the way that this happens. And this is the kind of stuff we get where people are fighting over the dumbest things. Rogan did something that seemed to work for him. Also, let's not forget that Rogan has put in 45 years, I know he's in his 50s, 45 years of working out, keeping his body pretty damn healthy, being in pretty damn good shape, which I think is huge, and we completely ignore that on numerous occasions. Well, now with the treatment, if they get FDA approval, I think that says, all right, it's time for us to get back. Now, again, they're only going to have 10 million, enough to treat. It's a 5-day treatment, enough to treat 10 million people. But that's pretty damn big and significant. So there is no reason that we should be staring down extra lockdowns, worried about what might be coming tomorrow, worried about the next thing that's out there, always saying, okay, what you got to do now is truly mask up. Enough. It's time to get our lives going again without the fear, not so much of the virus. When I talk to people, even my friends who are pretty progressive, and they're very much for the shot. They're like, we can't do this anymore. And I don't want to live our fear in the thing around the corner. And I don't want to live the fear of what's going to be locked down next. Time to live our lives. Yesterday, we were talking about, they said only a third of people who are parents will be getting their kids the shot that will be eligible for 5 to 11-year-olds. Only a third. The other third is going to wait a while, and the other third will never do it. You're like, oh. Yeah, so think about that for a second. Because I think a lot of people thought they were all going to run out and get their children the shot. The difference is when it's you or I, we're adults. Not adults. We think a little different. We make the choices for ourselves. If something goes wrong, we've made that choice to do this because we thought it was in the best interest. For kids, looking at the numbers and data and realizing that they're not getting sick at all comparatively to parents, yeah, you know what? Maybe people will take a step back and say, maybe I'm going to give it some time. And there was also the other side of it where this was very interesting too, because I spoke yesterday to somebody from ABC News, Alex Stone, and he said some parents are also thinking, well, that's Pfizer, but judging by what I see with Moderna compared to Pfizer, we might want to wait for that. Now we've got snooty people when it comes to the vaccines. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Feel free to shoot me a tweet or text. And check out, by the way, the magical world of Getter, Gettr, at Chad Benson Show there. Been trying it for a couple days. So far, so good. Haven't had hate like I get elsewhere, but welcome to the world of Twitter. Are we angry? We'll talk about that. Are we angrier than ever before? Rough Greens makes any pet food better. You know how I know? Because I've got a pet named Doodle that proves it. A pet named Doodle that was mean, cantankerous, and in a lot of pain. And we started giving him the supplement Canine Vitasmart from Rough Greens, and it changed everything in his life. He's happier, he's healthier, he's bouncier, has more energy, and the joint pain in his hips is virtually gone. It has given him a new lease on life, and he's more of a middle-aged dog than a dog that is entering the latter part of his years. And I love that. He jumped up on our new couch yesterday. He couldn't have done that a year and a half ago. He made it no problem. Little things like that. It's so easy. Sprinkle on top of your dog's food, and away you go. Away you go. Vitamins, minerals, vegetables, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, all this incredible stuff. They love the taste, and they'll love the results. And so will you. RUFFgreens.com/Chad. Try it before you buy it. You pay for shipping. They're going to give you a bag for free. If you don't like it, well, what are you at? You at a couple bucks for shipping? RUFFgreens.com/Chad or call 833-MY-DOG-77. 833-MY-DOG-77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
I can't take it anymore!
Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
Laundrie has been missing for nearly 2 weeks after returning from a cross-country trip without Petito, who was later found dead in Wyoming. FBI agents returned to the Laundrie's home yesterday, spending time inside the house and inside the camper Brian and his parents took on a trip just days before he went missing. The Laundrie family's attorney says agents collected personal items to, quote, assist the canines in their search.
Yeah, the canines, right? You smell that? Yeah. What's going on over there? Now, the dog's on the case, so. Could you imagine if the dog... I saw a great text yesterday or tweet that says, if Dog the Bounty Hunter catches Brian Laundrie, I'm never paying taxes again. He gets to do things where he focuses on one thing. And, you know, if you're a police officer, you're in a situation where you don't have that luxury. You've got 50,000 things you're doing. You're one of but a few. That's it. You're one of but a few. And there's a bunch. We have 17,000 missing people in America. I don't think people realize that. And the average person is 34 years old and male. Ooh. Yeah. So, yeah, it's one of those things where this is not a, that's why there was, you watch that show, The First 48. You watch the show, The First 48, it's awesome in the sense that you try to see all the stuff that they try to do and how they go about doing things. But then you realize that after 48 hours or so, people just kind of, and they don't solve most murders. Most murders just doesn't happen. And that's why they got backlogs of cold case. The difference between him is he's become so high profile, I think for him to go anywhere would be virtually impossible. Unless he's made it to a place where there's no extradition. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. You guys are like me. You get excited for silly little things. Things like the McRib.
This is a sandwich known to all by reputation.
For the last 40 years, McDonald's has on and off offered the McRib, which has become a cult favorite for a limited time, which always helps Mickey D's sales. The sandwich consists of a boneless pork patty, which is shaped like a rack of ribs, loaded with barbecue sauce, wrapped lovingly in a bun. McDonald's points to the McRib's social media interest for solidifying its icon status. The McRib is back on November 1st.
The most important sandwich of the year.
Saw people here around work talking about it yesterday. It was just great because the age gap was plentiful. Somebody was in his 60s, not old, but somebody was in their mid-20s. And they were both excited about the McRib. And when people say we just don't bond, there is no coming together anymore, I point to that. The McRib, an oddly strange-looking thing on a soft roll with tasty barbecue sauce, brings us together. It unites us. It reminds us of the things that binds us. It does. Oh, man. I've had a bite of a McRib. I think I may have 1 or 2 bites ever. A Because when I go to McDonald's, I mean, look, I can eat a Big Mac all day. I got no problems with that. When I go to McDonald's, though, it's the fries, man. The fries. The fries are just, I don't know what they do. Angel tears, whatever it is, they're delicious. I also like the Whopper, right? The King's a little creepy, but the Whopper. I was watching something the other day. Brian Giamatti, if you guys have not seen him, he's lost a ton of weight. Pig vomit. He did a voice of something for Burger King, and was talking to his agent, and he said, well, is there any perks to go with this? And he goes, yeah, give me one of those cards that he'd heard about. And he goes, the next day, FedEx arrived, and there was a golden credit card for Burger King where he gets lifetime food, and he just walks in, shows it to him, and swipes it. That is so cool. I need me one of those. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
So I said means testing. In that way you target children. So you have the beginning of life, our children. Pre-K, yes. Then you have the end where our senior citizens want to live in the dignity and respect of their own home. We can do that with some assistance. And again, some can pay a little bit, and some can't pay any. That's means testing. It goes an awful long way that way. I'm just not. I cannot accept our economy or basically our society moving towards an entitlement mentality that you're entitled. I'm more of a rewarding because I can help those who really need help if those who can help themselves do so.
That is not a Republican. That is a Democrat who happens to be in a very Republican state, West Virginia. His name is Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin is not on board for $3.5 trillion, wasn't on board for $6 trillion, is on board potentially for $1.5 trillion in the reconciliation bill. The progressives are having very little of it and would rather have nothing AOC.
The president has been playing a convening role, and he's exploring the contours of the positive contributions he can make. But at the end of the day, we're laser focused on trying to make sure that we establish universal pre-K, free community college, expanding Medicare.
He is for expanding Affordable Care Act and helping out in certain ways. But his basic thing is if you're little, we're going to be there for you. If you're old and you need help, that's what means testing is. Right? I mean, if you're 75 years old and you need help, but you have $50 million in the bank, you don't need the help from the government. You're 75 and you have nothing and nobody, absolutely. If you're healthy, then you know what? There's a difference between a hand up and a hand out. I continue to say this. It should be a safety net, not a hammock. And the progressives are not happy about that. They're mad about that. They're mad. They want what they want, which is what every party wants. They want it all. And they're willing to accept nothing.
Joe Manchin represents about 40% as many people as are in Southeast Michigan, the greater Detroit area. That's how many people live in West Virginia. And the idea that he should, by himself, determine this, no, let's get together and negotiate.
And they have been. And he said, this is what I want. Kyrsten Sinema is also a part of this, and she is not going to go away quietly.
Senator Manchin started off with an openness to $3.5 trillion. This is reporting as far back as June. And also on the record saying a two-track strategy is the main strategy that we have. So this was what Senator Manchin was saying 2 months ago. Which senator are we negotiating with? Is this June Manchin? Is it September Manchin? Is it August Manchin? Will December Manchin be a different, will this be a different senator that pops up?
Kirsten Sinema, also a Democrat, probably the most independent-thinking Democrat, along with Joe Manchin. Where they differ is in some of the climate change. And it's understandable. Joe Manchin lives in a state that is driven by the fossil fuel industry in many ways, and that has been West Virginia with coal and stuff. So there's a lot of things going on here. But they're pissed. They're angry. They don't like that. Oh, my God, these people are bad. They're holding things up. You know what they are? They're just Democrats. They're average Democrats. You know, for all the AOCs and all the loudness and the squad, understand this. When they tried to run a bunch of these people, those were the four that won. The other, God knows how many, and there were a ton, got eviscerated. And the Democrats that did win were pretty much pro-union, pro-marriage equality, pro-choice, wants an immigration fix, doesn't want to throw everybody out, but doesn't want open borders. Joe Manchin talked about, uber liberals.
I wasn't trying to be the fly in the ointment at all. I've never been. I've never been a liberal in any way, shape, or the form. There's no one who's ever thought I was. And all they need to do is we have to elect more, I guess, for them to get theirs, elect more liberals. But I'm not asking them to change. I'm willing to come from 0 to 15.
Yeah. So that is the battle. And they have a battle in their party. And their party is fracturing and people are saying, well, it's just these two. Bernie Sanders tweeted out earlier, these two senators are holding everything up. Yeah, but you act like there isn't 98 of you that aren't these two. 48 Democrats, 2 independents, and 50 Republicans. You've got the other group, if you will, right? I mean, so you got the 40. These 2 Democrats aren't going to be on your team. So really you're down to 46 Democrats, 2 independents. Now you have to go and see if you can get Republicans on your side. You can always do that, but that's not going to happen. But everybody acts like it's just these 2 that are holding everything up. Well, if it was just these 2 and only these 2, it would be 98-2. It is not that way. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. So infrastructure might be and that's human infrastructure. That's not the 1.2 million that is out there that's going to help with broadband. That's going to help, fix our roads, update many of the things like our power grids, our water systems, things of that nature. It's stuff we would think infrastructure should be. Because if the Dems don't get this, their reconciliation, they're not going to do anything with the other one. So who's that hurt? Does that hurt the Republicans? Because they were on board somewhat with the other one. So who's that going to hurt? Probably Biden. You know what else hurt Biden? The continual mess at the border. And it's not just kind of a mess. And we can stop pretending now that there's no issue there. So what did we have last month? Well, we'll talk about how many. But if you thought last month was bad, hang on to your hats and glasses, kids.
Tonight, U.S. officials telling NBC News the Biden administration is preparing for an even more massive surge in October. Up to 400,000 migrants crossing the border, which would be a record.
Now, records are awesome to see broken, Somebody nobody thought they could break. That is not the record you want broken. 400,000. 400,000.
Nearly doubling the stunning numbers we've seen the last 2 months, which were a 21-year high. The new surge likely, officials say, because of a court order due to start tomorrow lifting a COVID restriction known as Title 42, which had allowed officials to quickly deport most asylum seekers during the pandemic.
Most asylum seekers during the pandemic, Title 42. Title 42, the Biden administration is essentially using that as Trump's stay in Mexico. So they can say, well, it's COVID is the reason, because we're really concerned about COVID is why we can deny people at the border and send them back, because we're really worried about COVID. Which they are worried about COVID, but they won't tell you that the reality is they understand they can't continue to have this. And 400,000 people would not only smash the record, But you would have to think to yourself, at some point in time, they're going to have to wake Biden up and tell him stuff's going on. Now, will Title 42 stick around?
Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas saying keeping Title 42 is critical.
That is an authority that the Centers for Disease Control has determined to still be necessary given where we are in the arc of the pandemic.
In Del Rio.
So, during the arc of the pandemic. Now, I stopped that there. Again, they're using it as a great way to say, well, we're really not worried. This is how we're trying to stop it, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. We're going to do math here. I'm not great at math. I did it last hour. I just double-checked again. We're going to do it again. How many people came here? So we saw the nightmare under the bridge. We saw the horrible conditions of people that were stuck under there, what they did to get here. We saw that. But we remember we was told, when I posted it, people were like, dude, you're such a liar. It's like 4,000 people. It's Fox News. That's fake news. That's a lie, blah, blah, blah. Well, then it was like even the New York Times, well, they're just part of the mainstream media. It's la, la, la. And then eventually it's like, okay, maybe there was 10,000 people there. Well, let's see how many people were really there.
In Del Rio, border authorities were taken by surprise by a surge of mostly Haitian migrants who came from South America. 5,000 were deported back to Haiti, but the administration released most into the U.S., around 13,000, asking them to report to an immigration center to start asylum hearings.
So, 5 plus 13, we worked it out on our abacus, our computer, and yes, the calculator on the phone. That is 18,000. That is 18,000. That is not most. That is 18,000. That's a problem. And they're going to continue to come because in their mind, they feel like Biden invited them. They feel like Biden said, come on down. Come on down. They feel like Biden said it's okay to come here. They've made it clear to people that, yes, Biden did invite us and we're never leaving.
Now, one of the migrants we talked to was named Stevenson. He is from Haiti. He says there's no turning back, and he has a message for President Biden. Listen.
I would like to send a message for Biden because Haiti more difficult.
Will you go back to Haiti?
No, never.
No.
Never.
And there's anger towards the Biden administration for sending a mixed message. You see migrants here still wearing those same Biden let us in t-shirts. Many feel betrayed because they thought Biden was inviting them to come, but now see their fellow countrymen being deported.
Yeah. They felt they're wearing t-shirts. Biden let us in. And what did we hear from Biden? Basically, he was going to punish the people that supposedly, we saw them. They were swinging their reins at people. Did they whip them? Was there that's the conversation. We're not asking the question of how did people get here. We're not asking the question of what's going on. We're not asking the question of, is that really what happened? No, that was the focus of it. But nothing else about the other people and what they're doing here. Nope. Nope. Don't worry about that. We're just gonna let that be. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. I got your NFL picks coming up. What's new at the theaters? Chad Benson Show.
I'm so tired. I'm exhausted.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Grab some gabagool and some shvuyadel. It's time to go back into the world of The Sopranos.
Make the right decision. This kid's got what it takes.
But The Many Saints of Newark is a prequel. Set 30 years before the show, John Bernthal, who plays Tony Soprano's father, Johnny Boy, telling me the movie's not trying to be the series.
It's absolutely its own thing, and I think that's very smart. I mean, those are shoes that are impossible to fill.
Star Ray Liotta tells me he hasn't seen the show, and that's okay.
You don't have to be a big Sopranos fan or know everything that happened in order to appreciate and like this.
The Many Saints of Newark is in theaters and streaming on HBO Max.
Yeah, Sopranos was okay. I didn't really get into it. It was all right. but it'll be interesting to see how this thing does. You know, when you take something that was a show like this and try to make it something like they did with Entourage, I don't know. On the other side of things, Venom opens up. That's going to dominate this week. An Addams Family cartoon. It's the second one. That's also going to do well. And we'll see what the box office is. There any kind of still life left? And then in 2 weeks, you have Halloween Kills. That's going to open up both. I think it's Paramount Plus and in the theaters. That's a movie I will see in the theaters. This weekend, though, I'm going to relax. I'm going to kick back, watch a little football. But we did find out that the halftime show for the Super Bowl is set.
City of Compton. Any one of them big enough to do the Super Bowl halftime show on their own, but Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar are teaming up for February's show, which will take place at the brand new SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California, not far from where Kendrick, Snoop, and Dr. Dre grew up. It's a rare move for the biggest stage in the world, which has shied away from putting rap acts front and center. Dre says in a statement that to do the Super Bowl halftime show and to do it in his own backyard will be one of the biggest thrills of his career.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting, and we're still a long way away. I mean, we are only heading into our fourth weekend of games. There's still plenty of games to be played. Remember, we got 17 this year. So that's kind of cool beans. I am loving that. Let's talk about the games, shall we? Because as we know, I do love my football. All right. Picked the Bengals last night. They won. Last second field goal. Beat the Jaguars. Jaguars played pretty good. Trevor Lawrence, you had back-to-back number one picks, quarterbacks facing each other. Also, two guys who squared off in college. Trevor Lawrence, best game last night, but the Bengals were too much. They're a real team, and he's a hell of a quarterback. He is a hell of a quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. But Joe Burrow is so... That guy. He first of all, looks like Macaulay Culkin. And when Macaulay Culkin was a kid... But that was the win. That's who I picked. All right, let's break it down. Titans game this weekend. I'm picking the Titans, and the reason's pretty simple. I just think they're a better team. I think the first week they got served a little bit. It was comeuppance, and I think the Arizona Cardinals are really good. And, but they're playing the Jets. And the Jets, well, they're the Jets. That's all you need to say. Lions, Bears. I'm going to go with the Bears. Why? Because the Lions are the Lions. This, in theory, this should be 0-0. That's what it should be. Lions played a great game last week and lost on a record-setting kick of 66 yards that hit the square center of the bar and bounced in. Colts, Dolphins, I'm going Fins. Browns, Vikings, it's a tough one, but I'm going Vikings. I think they're going to get it done at home. Washington, Falcons. Washington defense is really good. Falcons, I just don't think they're that good. They're not a good team right now. Texans versus the Bills. The Bills. You'd be stupid not to. Bills are at home. Josh Allen is going to be an MVP candidate again. They get it done either. Giants, Saints. Pick the Saints. The Saints won last week. People are like, well, Jameis Winston threw all those quarter touchdowns in the first game, and then in the second game, he was awful. They were missing 7 of their offensive coaches because of COVID protocol the second game. They're going to win this one. Chiefs, Eagles, go with the Chiefs. Panthers, Cowboys, go with the boys. Seahawks, 49ers, going to be a good game. I'm going Niners. Cardinals, Rams, you got to go with the Rams. Afternoon, Steelers, Packers, that's a win for the Packers. Broncos, Ravens, there's my Broncos right there. And then Monday night is Raiders, Chargers. I went with the Chargers. But Sunday night, Tom returns back to New England, to Foxborough. I'm going with the Bucs to beat the Patriots. Tom gets it done in his homecoming. We'll go over our picks that we did over the weekend. You guys have a blessed, wonderful weekend. Be safe, watch football, eat food, and get some rest. As always, night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.